Hey guys, welcome back to some Patreon exclusive content. I've got a question here from Steven, and he says, Alexander, you often say a long-term relationship with a high-quality woman brings more happiness than having short-term relationships. But after a few years, all men seem to have lost love/passion for their wives. How being with a high-quality woman could change that? Are we not, at the end, men with need to impregnate as many women? So you can tell his English is not his first language, but I understand exactly what he's talking about. If so, why not have something in the middle, i.e. serious relationships of a few years without marriage, and as soon as the passion left, start looking for another relationship? You can absolutely do that. It's called serial monogamy. It makes things very difficult with regards to children. It's very difficult to make two people on the same page about like, hey, we're only going to do this for this long and then we're absolutely going to split up. That's strange. So it always tends to end with at least one party being extremely kind of hurt. And so ultimately I do think that the best model is to just find one high quality woman and then spend your life with her. But there's quite a few questions in this. Let's go through them one at a time. The first thing he says is that I often say that one long-term relationship with a high-quality woman is better than lots of short-term relationships. I absolutely stick by that because a short-term relationship comes from an explosion of novelty in the beginning, like, oh my god, this is sort of amazing. But think of it like a game like chess or bridge, like one of those classic games. The more you play it, the longer you play it, the more you can really appreciate how deep the strategy can go. Sure, you could play a new board game, a new card game every single day and sort of be dazzled by the novelty of it, but you never really get the chance to actually go deeper and appreciate the real mechanics of it, to get to the absolute spiritual center of a thing. It's the same with a long-term relationship versus a short-term relationship. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that if you meet a new, young, gorgeous girl, which is by no means a guarantee, let me remind you, that's very difficult. Not many men manage to do that. But you're probably going to have a huge spike of happiness, probably happier than you would be whether you're just with the same woman all the time. But eventually that starts to drop off, And so what he's saying is, why not just exploit that mountain? Then as soon as it starts to drop off, just finish the relationship, go and find another. Well, in all likelihood, you're going to have quite a long valley between the next one comes along. Eventually you're going to be an old man, right? Like you're not going to be able to attract the gorgeous, 20-year-old women anymore. And so, you can make the argument, why not do this while you're young and then make that transition? I don't necessarily have any arguments against that. If that's what you want to do, maybe that makes sense. Check out my video on how to clear your sexual debt if you haven't watched that one yet. I think it's called Confirmed, Every Man is in Debt. I remember it got demonetized because I had a girl in the thumbnail in her bikini, but that's just how she was dressed when I interviewed her. So what was I meant to do? But in the long term, the happiness that you're going to gain from one partner is actually going to, I think ultimately, if you take all the little chunks of short-term happiness you get with casual relationships, it's nowhere near going to outweigh, on the balance of scales, how much happiness you'll get from one genuinely long-term partner. Because here's the thing, is there's so much happiness to be derived from a relationship that doesn't just come from the novelty of that person. So yeah, when you're this person and you meet another person, you're sort of trying to understand the other person. That's exciting. You sort of rub edges, you're figuring out belief systems, you're sharing conversations, having new sex, and that's really excitement, all that friction, that's like novelty. That is really, really pleasurable. But there's a different kind of pleasure that doesn't come from just like a rush, like a new drug. A pleasure that's a lot more calm, like a deeper kind of pleasure that comes in a long-term relationship with a high-quality woman, because you've done all of this stuff and you've locked in, you understand each other, and at this point you're a team, and you're a whole team because you've got both halves of the biological equation sorted out. And so you no longer need to spend your time thinking about dating, thinking about attraction, thinking about how to generate attraction, gratifying sexual desires. You can actually move on to deeper, more interesting, and I'd say ultimately more pleasurable experiences. I remember listening to the abbot of a monastery once give a lecture to young boys, and he was talking about meditation. And one of the boys asked, isn't it boring? And he said, no, when you reach a deep, deep level of meditation, it's the most pleasurable thing you can imagine. Like all you young boys, you probably masturbate and have orgasms, and everybody in the crowd laughed and jittered, a bit nervously. And he said, yeah, well, for a monk who's gone really, really deep, meditation is more pleasurable than orgasm. And I understand what he's talking about, because naturally I'm sure he's not going through the same dopamine release constantly that an orgasm is. But the thing about an orgasm is it's a really, really intense peak, and it's like, oh, that pleasure. But then it fades away, and sometimes you actually feel worse afterwards. You know, you've just lost some of your semen, unless you're doing the whole tantric semen retention thing. But with meditation, it's more like a slow burn, you know? It's just a pleasure that is always gradually increasing. This is how it is with a long-term relationship. If you're doing it right, your pleasure should continue to increase and increase and increase. Now, it's true what he says. After a few years, most men have lost love/passion for their wives. But my argument is that they're not doing it correctly. I've said before, although people perhaps didn't hear it or really understand the implications of what I was saying, but relationships are really a good, functional, healthy, proper relationship is actually beyond the emotional capacity of the majority of the population. I'm quite cynical about human potential. I think that individuals can do unbelievable, godly type things, but the average person, I kind of have contempt for what they're actually capable of. That's just been my experience, is that people aren't really that great. There are geniuses and amazing people, but they're few and far between. Most people are kind of shit. That's just been my perspective on it. And so when I hear that most men lose passion for their wives, I'm like, well, they're probably not doing it right. And I would never want to be part of the statistics. I would never want to be part of the general population. As long as there are some people in the world who do manage to retain passion for their wives and their love increases and they get happier every single year, I don't really care about what's happening to the majority of people. I know I'm going to make myself one of those people. And if you're listening to me now and you've subscribed to this channel and you've subscribed to my Patreon and you're paying for this to hear me say it, maybe you're one of these people. Maybe you're one of these guys who's not going to settle for an average life. You are feeling greedy like I am. You're feeling ambitious like I am. And if there are people that happy in the world, you want to be one of those people. So that's what I recommend. So the importance of finding a high quality woman is that she is actually able to sync up with you, because this is what two high quality people do. They don't see each other as competition. They see each other as partnerships, as partners. They cooperate. They're on the same team and they work together in the same goal. When she needs a little bit of masculine energy, you bring that in and she's grateful and you feel good. When you need some feminine energy, she brings that in and you feel good and she feels good. And when two people are just giving to each other constantly, never taking, which is what causes the toxicity in relationships, but just generously outflowing the energy towards each other with just a huge fountain of love, the abundance gets crazy insane. And so a genuinely happy couple is just a beautiful thing to behold. And I guarantee it's possible. You can do it. It's fucking hard. It's hard. Very few people manage to do it because it requires such intense self-evaluation to make sure that you're a high-quality person, and then smart, being informed to be able to find a high-quality woman. It's very difficult, but it is possible, and I recommend that you do that. I wonder if I've covered everything. Are we not, in the end, men with a need to impregnate as many women as possible? We are, but we have a dual strategy when it comes to children. We are not exclusively that. We also have paternal instincts, which say that when we recognize that a child is ours, we should stick around and provide for that child to ensure that he survives. Because if you're just going around impregnating as many women as possible, trying to play the numbers game, you may find that you've impregnated 10 women who, without a man in their lives, aren't able to actually sustain the child through breast milk or just building shelters so the child doesn't die of pneumonia or whatever diseases you catch from being out in the elements. And so evolution, because it wants our genes to survive, has also put inside men that instinct to care and protect for our children. I personally don't think it's as strong as the maternal instinct. I think that we're a little bit more split, and that we also have that desire to just have sex and novelty, because that's also an effective strategy, but we are not exclusively that. And so it really becomes the question of which one of these two biological instincts do you want to follow? You know, from a biological perspective, perhaps both are equally valid. You might even say that the just spread your seed as far as wide as possible is more valid. But I don't judge my life purely on biological means. I think it's important to be aware of the biological factors, but what's important to me is that I'm happy. And so the most pertinent question here is, what is more likely to make me happy? Just having sex with lots and lots of women, or cultivating a deep, loving relationship with one woman, a high-quality woman, and raising children together as a team with her? And I guarantee 1,000,000% you're happier doing the second. The other one, all the anxiety, the ups and the downs, the constant desire, the constant change, it doesn't let you relax and really access the deeper parts of your soul and really reflect on the deeper aspects of what life truly is. A relationship with a proper woman will afford you that opportunity and freedom. So that's what I recommend. Is there anything else? No, that's generally my answer. I don't mind if you disagree with me. It might be quite interesting. Just write in the comments below where you might think I've gone wrong in my thinking. But largely, if you're watching my channel, it's probably good that you understand that that is my perspective. And so all of my advice should be seen through the lens of what I just outlined there. So if you're looking for a different life, maybe take some of my advice with a grain of salt because it doesn't align completely with what you're looking for. But on the whole, this is generally what I'm trying to push guys towards understanding. So that was good. That was a good overview, big picture kind of thing. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for your continued support on Patreon. It really means a lot to me. I'll catch you next time.